Test 1, 2. over for 5 years, and you'll see the extensions remaining on the far right column. This is for approval.
All right, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Wallace? Song program, Boys and Girls Club.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I stand before you tonight to present the contract for the summer program for the Boys and Girls Club. It is in conjunction with our 21st Century Grant. And the dates are from June 16 to July 24th. It'll be held in Nashville at Bailey Elementary. On behalf of Superintendent Ellis, your approval is requested to take to the full board on Tuesday.
So moved.
Second.
All, been moved and seconded, all approved?
Aye.
One more?
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll carry it to the board next week. All right. Mr. Ward or Caroline, whoever comes up here. This is the final site contract.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
On behalf of the superintendent, we're seeking your approval for the contract as final site for our vendor for our website services for 2526.
I think it's saving us some money too.
We're saving some,
That's a good
You
thing.
had a,
$40,000.
How much?
North of
Oh,
$40,000.
sounds good. All right, we need to carry it to the board.
you had a motion.
Second. I think Zach Gray.
Second. Jamal Whitfield. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody got any questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Next committee meeting, Academic Services Accountability, Mr. Bishop.
Good job.
Okay, so quick roll call. Dr. Washington is absent. Mr. Lamb,
President.
Dunton,
Yes, sir.
Gray,
President.
myself. The approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Get a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, get a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Ms. Nancy Smith, MOU with Nash Community College.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Each year, Nash Community College and Nash County Public Schools enter into a memorandum of understanding. And although we have a really good working relationship with Nash Community College, the Department of Public Instruction and the North Carolina Community Colleges System requires that school districts who are serving students of the community college must have an MOU. Our goal is to have an MOU executed no later than June the 30th, and this information is submitted for information. Are there any questions?
I don't, and I apologize for missing last week, but, and I don't know if this pertain, I think it does not pertain directly to this, but on the new facilities for us at the community college, are there updates or have we moved forward with any of that, gotten word that we'd be able to expand outside of our mobile home?
No, not for next year.
Any other questions on the MOU? Okay, so while you're here, if you want to go ahead and do the textbook contract.
Textbook. So last month, the committee presented to you the new adoption of instructional materials for K-8 science as well as K-5 math. The adoption will total approximately $1.5 million. This month, the superintendent seeks approval of the textbook contracts. But note that in approving these contracts, they are subject to further attorney revisions regarding the terms of the contract. What we're seeing from vendors is they're requesting that we eliminate the, can't remember the wording, the termination for convenience, and that is just something we don't feel comfortable with moving forward. So we've been going, so the vendors, attorneys, and basically have been going, kind of back and forth on that, and also the terms and methods of payment. We feel comfortable with that change, but it's the termination for convenience that we most often don't feel comfortable. Are there any questions?
Do you want to add, I saw you grab the mic, do you want to add?
Yeah, just in case there are questions.
Okay.
Dr. Dancy Smith summed it up nicely. These contracts, I think, are being sought for approval, subject to further attorney review. The dollar amounts, none of that would change. The, materials that you're purchasing, none of that would change. The vendors just recently sent back some red lines, so I'm reviewing those, and we've already exchanged our response with Discovery, and then Curriculum Associates, I think, is the other vendor. We're responding to those, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't change the key business terms.
Did all the vendors say, well, just one?
All of them
All up, convenient, can terminate at their convenience.
wanted us to flat out terminate. And we just shared that that was a hard no, so I didn't send that to Jason because I know that's something we can't do. So they were able to keep that there. And for some, when their attorneys just look at it, they like to change the language to meet their company. But before we do anything, I send it to Jason. He looks at it, he accepts the red lines, or he denies the red. So that slows down the process.
Did the state know that before they even let these vendors bid?
And I don't know if these are on the state-approved, local school districts. You can use state contracts. You don't have to use the state contracts for textbooks. A lot of times vendors will propose multi-year agreements at lower prices, but then they, try and make sure that there's language that you're locked in. So let's say in year one or year two, you're not happy with the materials, or there's been some change in the state curriculum requirements, right, that would require some kind of change. One thing that I work closely with districts on, that I've been talking with Dr. Dancy Smith about, is just making sure that there's that option essentially to get out if you need to get out. And that's kind of what we're going back and forth on right now.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Entertain a motion to approve the contract?
Subject to further attorney.
Yes, subject to attorney review, further attorney review. So I have a motion by Gray, second by Dutton. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Ms. Henson, AIG plan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I come to you because I want to ask for your approval for the 25-28 AIG plan. Every 3 years, based off of Article 9B, our AIG plan has to be reviewed. And so one of the things that we do as an AIG team is we look at the current plan that we have in place now, our 22-25 plan, and we go from there. I don't know if you can.
It's sideways.
Here,
Rotate.
hit that button right there.
Oh, he's
Two more
got it.
There we
times.
go.
There you go.
So, just taking a look at the things for our district, what we do for consideration for the revisions is we look at the current plan that we have in place, and the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction always gives us feedback. So we take that feedback into account.
We also ask our stakeholders for feedback. We give surveys to our AIG students, AIG parents, guardians, as well as students and teachers. And then we also use our AIG Advisory Council for feedback as well. So we take that feedback and we look at everything. The state also gives us expanding excellence guidelines to use, and then, of course, the enhancement of our program standards. So every year, or every 3 years, our standards are actually looked at too. So what I want to do is a 92-page document, so I'm definitely not going to read the whole document to you. I'm sure you have taken the time to do that. But I do just want to highlight the changes or the pieces of the standards that we would like to improve on. And the first one, and we're really actually very excited about this one, is our identification. One of the things we would like to do in Nash County is we would like to add an achievement/academic pathway. This has not been done in the past. We basically have always used our universal screeners, and we'll still do that for our second graders and our second opportunity, 6th grade. But because of the advanced math law that's in place and auto enrollment, if a student has a 5 on an EOG or an EOC, we automatically give them the same services that we would give our AIG identified math students. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but the state of North Carolina is also looking at adding ELA to that as well. So we're trying to be a little proactive with that. And we're also knowing that we're also testing our students quite a bit. And with that, why not use our mandated test that we have in place if the state of North Carolina says that we should do that? So we would like to see this academic pathway put in place. So if a student scores a 5 on our standard course of study tests, which are our BOG, our EOG, or our EOC, if we can support it with 2 artifacts at the 90th percentile, then we would identify them as either academically gifted in reading, academically gifted in math, or AG, which is academically gifted in both. The only one they would not be able to get at this point is intellectually gifted, because that has to be based off of an aptitude test. So that's another reason that we would continue to give our universal screener for all of our second graders, and then that 6th grade opportunity as well. So that's the biggest thing with this one. So we were excited as a team about being able to offer that, because it can be very confusing for a parent, for especially our elementary students, to be served based off of a 5 and then not really be identified. But they are nurtured and they're served as our students with them. Standard 2, basically with the comprehensive program services, there will be no major changes this time. We still have a 9-person team, so these teachers are shared among our elementary through 12th grade or high schools. And so our service delivery is pretty much going to stay the same. We could do a push-in approach or a pull-out approach. Standard 3, which is our differentiated curriculum instruction. And this is coming from our talent pool that we're doing right now with our K2 that was new to our 22-25 plan. And then from the feedback we were receiving, especially from parents. So we decided it was really probably time to take our K2 to another step and look at rebranding it. And so we would like to rebrand it as Bloom, which is Building Logical, Original, Outstanding Minds. This is a way that we can touch all of our K2 students going into classrooms, whole group lessons, twice a month. We would not start it with kindergarten until after the first semester, just because they're getting acclimated to school. And then in second semester, we would even focus we dive down a little bit more in looking at that student data as well as teacher recommendation and so forth, and we could pull nurture groups as well. So this would be a way, these students are not identified as gifted, but it'd be a great way for us to put our PETS program in front of them, which is basically a critical thinking skill program, as well as doing whole groups so every student would be touched. So that would be one. And the biggest thing, one of our parents said too, advertise. You need to advertise. So we just thought it would be a better way to do it if we had an acronym to get that advertisement out there. And then standard 4 is our personnel and professional development. We're going to continue with an AIG cohort because what we really would like to do is continue to build capacity for serving our advanced learners and fostering sustainability of our gifted education program. We really want to focus on differentiation, identification, and social and emotional needs of our students. And then standard 5 is our partnership.
super excited about this one because our AIG facilitators, 3 of them actually, were a part of the podcast professional development this past semester. And they came back and they were so excited. And they were like, Henson, we got to do something with this with everybody because our students are really, really excited about it. So we started thinking about the partnership piece. This is a hard element of the standards because two-way partnership especially is really hard. So we thought, why not train the whole AIG team, buy our own podcast equipment. We're going to still borrow Carolina ACOTS as well. But this way we could have kind of a calendar and we could highlight what's going on in our schools with the gifted as well as the opportunities for the advanced learning programs, whether it be our governor's school opportunities, advanced placement, IB, just honors programs, whatever that we had going on, as well as partner with businesses that can offer opportunities for our students and parents. Because parents are the best advocates that we have, and they sometimes don't always know what to do. So it'd be a great way to have a podcast that would be available to them pretty much 24/7 whenever they want to click and say they want to listen. As well as our students just having the opportunity to be really showcased. So they're excited about that opportunity. And then standard 6 is program accountability. We started a little bit of this midway December, working with testing and accountability spreadsheets that will help us track our district benchmarks. We always have used something called a data notebook. So basically all we're doing is taking a data notebook and making it digital. So this is an opportunity where our AIG facilitators can track their whole school. They can look at past EOG scores as well as the benchmarks that are in place right now. We can look for trends. Do we have students that are struggling? Do we have students that we have not looked at that maybe they need some attention and they need support or enrichment? And that can also help us with the MTSS tiers. So this is something new. And the thing that I like about it best too is that it's digital and I have access to it. So I can see all of the work that my AIG people are putting into it as well. And then the last piece is the connection with the career development plan. The career development plan is a part of the CTE policy that's in place right now that has to, with 8th and 10th graders. We have used what's called an academic blueprint for our AIG students right now, but it's basically recreating the wheel. So if we already have something that the state of North Carolina is saying must be done, then why not let our AIG people use it too? So the CTE coordinator is going to be working with us to make sure we have all the access that we need for that, and then we can supplement and help out with that piece as well. And it's a great way for us to offer extracurricular and get to know our students better, especially at the high school level, because it's very hard at that point for us to be able to touch them as easily as it is when they're in elementary and middle school. Now, I gave you a big synopsis of a 92-page document.
You did good.
Do you have any questions for me?
You can breathe now.
Now I can breathe.
Take a deep
and
breath.
maybe my knees will stop knocking a little bit, and I can eat.
Questions for Ms. Henson?
I just had a comment. I'm not on this committee, but I was most impressed with your presentation and very excited to hear about the advertising and the podcast, because at the state conference, they are emphasizing that school systems need to be more proactive and tell our story first and better. And this sounds like an excellent opportunity to do it. So I'm excited.
Thank you, I am too. Well, we might invite you to be on one of our
Oh,
podcasts.
please.
If approved.
Okay. No further questions. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lamb, second by Gray. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Carried.
Thank you.
Field trips, Mr. White, you gonna handle that chat?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have 2 field trips this month. One is our FCCLA, and we'll be going to Orlando, Florida for the national competition. And the other is Northern Nash High School basketball team. They will be competing in a tournament in November, and that's on a little earlier because they have to give a notification to the tournament officials so that they can prepare and be involved in that tournament. So these are the only 2. They all meet the ratio for our student and our chaperone ratio.
Is that correct in Illinois?
It's in Illinois, Washington.
Yeah, other side of Chicago, Rick. It just didn't have on the spreadsheet transportation means.
They are flying, so it'll be air. And actually, both of these field trips will be air.
Okay. Any questions? Motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Dutton made the motion. Couldn't hear that in. Mr. Gray, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. No further business. We adjourn the Academic Services Committee.
The next committee, policy committee, Mr. Weeks.
All right, I'll take roll. Mr. Dutton?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gray?
Here.
Dr. Washington is absent. Mr. Edwards?
Here.
All right, and I'm here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Edwards, second by Mr. Dutton. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Policy 4210, release of students from school. Amendment, we're going to refer to Mr. Weber.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, start with policy 4210. This is your release of students from school policy. It's been before the committee a few times. I think the first time was in February with proposed changes around release time programs that are in Assembly, and you can see them in red with the new section C starting on page 1, going down to page 2. And just to start with some historical context, so this came to policy committee, I think, in February. It was approved in this form at that time, and then presented to the full board or on the full board agenda at the March meeting, but then tabled. And the reason it was tabled at that time was because of some draft legislation that was circulating in the General Assembly, Senate Bill 92, that would have expressly authorized local boards of education to adopt release time program policies to allow for programs similar to the ones that are allowed by our own local policy, but also would have included some language in the bill that would have altered just one portion of the draft that had been presented to you. So in the version that came to you in February, you see under section C, number 7, where it says students will be excused from no more than one class period per month to participate in a release time program under the draft legislation, Senate Bill 92, that would have required boards that adopt these policies to allow students to be excused from school or classes for between 1 and 5 hours per week. So it would have required a change to this particular language. So again, just kind of going through the background and the history in March, I think at that policy committee meeting or board meeting, the board decided to deal with this So fast forward to your last meeting, the board amended its agenda and waived second reading and approved this version of the policy change just a couple of weeks ago. So as of right now, this is what your policy says, right? Everything that's in red that's on the screen right now, this is part of the existing board policy 4210. The reason we're bringing it back to you is just to resolve this issue around section C, number 7. The legislation, Senate Bill 92, didn't make crossover, so it didn't get out of the Senate and make it into the House. But that doesn't mean it couldn't come back in some form or fashion, in a final budget bill or in a technical corrections bill, or get added to anything else before the General Assembly adjourns for this current session. So administration just wanted to put it back in front of the committee just to see what your thoughts were in terms of making changes to section C7. Again, right now, the way it reads, it authorizes students to be excused from no more than one class period per month to participate in a release time program. And under the legislation, if it were to come into effect, or the board has the discretion to change that anyway, the legislation require boards with these policies to authorize students to be released for at least one, but no more than 5 hours per week. So really the question for the committee is whether you want to stick with the language that we have now, one class per month, or whether you want to revise it to say no more than 1 hour per week, or anything within that 1 to 5 hour per week range. That can answer that.
Into a little more depth, you wanted more specific on the time, whether it be 1 or 2 or 3. As we read the Senate Bill 2, as it says, the governing body may adopt a policy that allows students to attend release course for at least 1, but no more than 5 per week.
That's right. I read this legislation as giving the boards a range, right? And then to set the number of hours within that range. I mean, one option would be to, put a range within the policy. If you did that, there could be variance from school to school, program to program. And anytime you get differences, complaints. So my recommendation would be uniform district-wide in terms of whether it's 1 hour, 5 hours, 3 hours, or once per month. Again, right now, that legislation is not in effect. It's out of the Senate. So you could certainly stick with this, but then, and sorry, just the other thing too is to note is this is a district-wide policy, right? So it applies in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, where class periods are different things, right? High schools have a block schedule for classes of 90 minutes or more. Elementary schools can be different. So I think that was the thinking behind the initial way we wrote it was with the class period. And then just the other thing to think about is an option for students and parents to take advantage of if those, out of school buildings, certain considerations around
Any comments? I'll make a motion that we change the policy to no more than 5 per week.
5 hours.
5 hours. That doesn't mean they have to do that, that's just opening up for, we're setting the criteria.
Right, but up to 5 hours per week or per month?
Well, per week, but that's what, I'm just going by what the Senate Bill 292 could come back and do.
So that's a motion.
Yes.
On the floor, or for the committee.
Yes.
I have a question, and I guess my question is for Dr. Ellis. How would that impact our curriculum schedules? Would that be something workable?
So the way I see this is, I know when we looked at this policy, we talked about what classes they could miss, what they couldn't miss, what they had to attend, what they couldn't miss. Most of this would be elective time. We made sure when we spoke with Jason that number 8 talks about you can't leave courses like math, reading, English, science, social studies, CTE. You're talking about students being released probably doing an elective class. I don't, to me, it would look different in the high school, in the middle, and the elementary school if it's done. So, my concern is that I don't want them missing some of these core classes, so we built that into this policy so they wouldn't. So to me, I think it would be, I think when LifeWise met with us the first time, I think they wanted to, I don't know if they're going to use the 5. I don't think they'll use that much. I just think they wanted some parameters put in. They couldn't do it in the first policy that you voted on. So I think it would look different, but I also think, just remember, it's not about just them. It could be other things. But in the end, it's about a parent wanting their kid to be checked out to do this. So, I mean, it's not, we're not involved in it. The parent is allowed their child to check out. So I want to make sure you understand that piece. It's not with, it has nothing to do with us. But our parameters basically, in my opinion, help us that they're not going to be missing some of those courses we feel like they need to be in class for.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
And the parent can pull them at any time, yeah.
Oh, yeah, parent can take a child out of class anytime.
That's right, so this, and that's a great point, Dr. Ellis, but number 8, there's no proposed meetings there.
Right.
That's where certainly as a board protecting your core classes, and in addition to those, language that we worked on in that last sentence that students won't be excluded from this, 5 hours per week, and then there's different 5 hours per week. High school, in terms of elective classes, I guess that's especially with the elementary school.
Correct.
Versus high school, there could be different.
And I think it puts all the responsibility on the adult and the child. Make up work, miss time, it all falls under the policy, under them, not us.
And that's right, and that's consistent.
And that's when our group met together, we wanted to make sure we didn't have, the responsibility is not on the school, it's on the parent and the child if they choose to do so.
That'd be consistent with the draft legislation.
Right.
Again, if it comes back, this would be the only thing that the board would need to change. The rest of it around, the parents of the program are responsible for providing written consent, and they're responsible for transportation. If there's no federal, state, local funds that are involved, provision of the program and responsibility for this coursework, that's all already part of the draft that we will consider.
I feel like I would be remiss if I did not say this as a point of clarification. If you went with 5 times or 5 hours per week, and with the parameters that's already laid out in the 8 as it relates to scheduling, it's already constricted to certain few courses. So essentially, a student could miss those courses every week if you go with 5 hours.
So I know we've got a motion, and I think, as Dr. Ferris said, 8 is going to be extremely limiting into what these students are going to be able to miss. I would think 1 class period per week. Because that's at least an hour, if not more. I think
So
you said.
I agree. So what I try to do is I sit back as an old principal and try to figure out in my mind, so what would that look like in my building? No, they wouldn't have 5. I couldn't allow them to have 5. If I was in elementary school, I could allow a 3rd grade to go 1 time, a 4th grade, a 5th grade. And that would be 1 hour per week. That'd be it. Because you couldn't get them out because the way their electives are, you don't want them to miss a PE, that's required, there's a lot of things you can't do. So to me, I can't see a principal opening up that much. I'm just honest. And I would tell the principal, if it becomes an issue, then it's still their school. I mean, if a certain class is not offered during elective when this, whoever wants to meet, you can't meet. Because if you're doing elementary here, they can't miss those courses we talked about. Well, those courses are at certain times of the day in elementary school. Specials are a certain time. So there's a lot of maneuvering here that I don't think you're going to get 5 hours in. I just don't see it. I see possibly once a week. And that might be it. Because the kids' rotation is going to determine how many hours they miss, not this policy. I hate to say it that way. You just can't do everything within that. Yeah. Especially when you put parameters in, they can't miss math, reading, English, where you've already That's 2/3 of a student's day.
A lot of your day.
Yeah, and even in middle school, it was gonna be, yeah. High school, I don't even wanna think about it. Because it's totally different. I just don't see it in the high school. I think it would have to be totally different. But I see this in an elementary, possibly middle, where they might do once a week, maybe a grade level goes. And that would probably be it.
If I could respond to John's recommendation of one class period per week. I would think there are already 5-hour classes, so while that's not hourly, it would fall within the 5-hour parameters. That could be an option.
And I'll be glad to rescind my motion. So let somebody, if somebody has a better motion, I'll rescind my motion.
I'll make the motion that we just amend number 7, I guess, from 1 class period per month to 1 class period per week, keeping everything else as stated in the policy.
We have a motion.
Like he was saying earlier, if you say 1 hour,
Yeah, 1 hour.
you don't,
Better, because class period could be 48 minutes, 42 minutes, depending on what element, yeah.
or it could be an hour and a half though, couldn't it?
Well, electives to get elementary, it's what, 40 and 40 minutes, yeah.
So that falls below the 1 hour.
I think you're right. If you want to do 1 hour per week, it probably would be more manageable, I would think.
So amend the motion, amend the amended motion to 1 hour per week to participate in a release time program.
I would interpret that as rescinding your first motion. Instead, a new motion.
Even better.
1 hour.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, we have any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The rest of the items on the agenda are minor policy changes from the NCPS spring 2025 policy updates. And in talking just before the meeting with policy chair committee, I'm recommending that the board table these. While they are minor changes, they are tied to substantive changes from the 2025 updates. So if you flip through them, you probably noticed a lot. These are proposed changes to cross-references that reference other policies within the policy manual. Some of them are new policies, some of them have revised titles, but those revisions are all tied to the substantive changes that are done in the next policy committee meeting. So if the board and the committee were to approve these minor changes, there's misalignment between your cross-references. So in talking about it, we thought it made sense to table these and just bring them all together.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, and have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our agenda. Our committee is adjourned.
Okay, next meeting, student support services and operation. Dr. Chambers.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Student Support Services and Operations Committee meeting. I'll start with our committee roll call. Mr. Edwards?
Here.
Mr. Weeks?
Here.
Dr. Washington is absent. Mr. Whitfield? Now I would like, if I could, get a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
That being said, let's call for a vote. All in favor? Say
Aye.
aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Okay, if we would like to have a transportation update by Dr. Farrell. Oh, wait, a correction by Mr. Bice. Thank you.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
So today I'm going to provide transportation updates. This is for information only. First slide. So we've got a staffing update on bus drivers. So the total number of bus drivers that are working AM and PM, we have 107. It's 96 from the beginning of the year. It was 96. So we're up from the beginning of the year. Drivers working AM and PM is 19, up from 13. Total drivers need for full coverage, AM and PM, we need 123 drivers. Substitute drivers, we have 12, up from 3. Buses currently without drivers is 7, down from 22 from the beginning of the year. Driver turnover and training. So drivers not TAs who resign was 8. Drivers not TAs trained was 8. And then new drivers now actively working for Nash County, we have 9 drivers. Teacher assistants, TAs with CDLs, we have 42. TAs with permits, we have 5. TAs that resigned, and this was due to some of the merger, it was 23. And then we have exempt from medical or self-contained classes, we have 28. We have 11 waiting on a test for class, and the class is scheduled for June 16th. Professional development, we offer to make up opportunities for the bus drivers during school closures. CPR first aid training, we had 8 employees paid for 5 hours. Online safety series, it was an online class that I found. We had 2 drivers paid 12 hours for that.
Out of how many?
Out of 184.
2 out of 184.
That's what I was about to ask.
The NCPS is scheduled for this summer and will pay 8 hours pay. Retention bonus that we just paid out May 22nd. Full-time drivers and monitors was 149, received $250. Part-time drivers and monitors, 34 of them received 125. The total payout was $41,500. That's all I have. Anyone have any questions?
How many drivers do you have waiting for the driving exam?
Behind the wheel?
Yeah, behind the wheel.
Behind the wheel will be 5. That's the ones that are holding their permits.
That's what you have right now, 5. After this class, June 16th would be.
We'll end up having probably 22 in this class, all pass. We'll have about 27 drivers waiting for behind.
So you're saying we'll be able to start August with a full?
I must say that.
Just checking.
Mr. Gray, yes, question.
Can we go back to one of the slides where you all talked about people having additional opportunities?
That's a good slide to bring back.
The second item says, school bus driver in-service safety series. 2 have taken advantage of this opportunity, paid for 12 work hours. Was this opportunity offered to everybody and only 2 decided to take it? Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
And those were done because of the snow days. So we had 4 snow days. Mr. Byron and Dr. Farrell were, I think the board was asking, how can they make up this time? So they came up with these, because based on our conversations with them, they talked about the CPR the first day, they talked about the safety and the training. So that was it, wasn't it? Okay.
Now, my question is, how were they informed or made aware? Because they made so much noise about it, I wanted to make sure they knew.
So we did send out a pamphlet, put it on each bus seat, plus we text them and send it through.
So 3
Two.
attempts to notify them
And
about
only
this
2.
opportunity.
Yes.
And only 2 took advantage of it.
So you'll see this board, we wanted to make sure that nobody would lose 4 days' pay because of snow, an opportunity to make their time up, square up with our school system, and that's only the number that took advantage.
And again, this was a request, I think, made by drivers to have more training. Thank you. Any other question? I'm sorry, Mr. Edwards.
Have you guys looked at any more into putting Narcan on the buses?
We have not, but,
Come, yeah.
Sorry, so sorry. Did you think? I'm trying to stay out of transportation for a while. Mr. Robert, appreciate that, I'm sure. Jeannie Kerr is on the opioid settlement committee for Nash County, and we were trying to go through them to get the Narcan, and they are trying to help us get the Narcan for the buses, because where we got it from, they no longer have the free Narcan. So we are working through the county to get that. Deb is also trying to find another source for us to get the Narcan. So we are still trying to find the source to get the Narcan. There is a coalition that Deb, and I'll circle back around and get with them, but I know Jeannie had another meeting. I think it's coming up within the next 2 weeks, 1st of June at some point in time, with the Nash County Opioid Settlement Committee. To talk about that and to get a follow-up for them. We're not giving it out as freely as they want. We're still looking for that.
Thank you.
And thank you. And the superintendent presents this item for information only. Are there any other questions or more business for the committee today? If not, I call the meeting adjourned.
Anybody got anything else they'd like to add at this time? To the committee meeting. We have been given a list of committee meetings and board meetings for the upcoming year. Please make sure everybody has a chance to look over those and make sure everybody's okay with the dates that have been chosen. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the committee meeting.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. We are adjourned.